DaaS Sales Workshop, and let's just give it 1 or 2 more minutes. There's just a couple people just coming in through the waiting room, so just so I'm not repeating myself, we'll just give it a minute or two. But actually, what I will say and what I can start off with, especially for you guys that are here early and first, is what I like to do is when I first start these, I like to kick these off and see if anybody came here with a specific question or something they wanted answered. Again, always trying to be respectful of your guys' time. And I know once in a while people hop on a workshop, they just want a question answered and they got to bounce to another call or something else going on. So if you have anything like that, just type a 1 in the chat. If you came here with a specific question, something sales, offer, messaging related, anything to do with that, and we will get your question addressed kind of before I dive into today's lesson and curriculum, etc. There's a couple more in the waiting room. Let me just open up the chat here. Rodney, go ahead. You can unmute and go ahead if you have a question. Feel free to start.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Hey, great. How's it going?
Well, thanks.
Great. I am doing a LinkedIn campaign,
Right.
and I am trying to reach out to business owners. I'm trying to reach out to business owners directly, and I'm trying to think like what's a good methodology or way of doing that, of or a good process. Just try to bring on some new people. I am still doing advertising too, but I'm still trying to do this like in addition to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's always a good idea to have some organic, whether it's content, whether it's outreach, whether it's email, going along with your ads and working in conjunction. I never, as a business owner personally, want to be reliant on only one stream to acquire clients and generate leads, etc. Now, Rodney, just so I understand, is this something you've already started or you're getting ready to start?
I'm in the middle.
Specifically.
I've already started it. I have one salesperson that's she's also doing it also with me. But right now it's just us two doing that, and then I'm also doing paid ads.
Okay, gotcha. But obviously what you're looking for here, more advice, is on the LinkedIn outreach. So first, are we very clear on who we're trying to target and getting in front of that person? I mean, that's obviously first and foremost. I'm guessing that's a yes, but what's your take on who you're targeting and how clearly you're getting in front of that person?
I think that I have a good I guess like avatar, who I'm going to be, who I'm trying to target. My
who is that? Just explain it to me real quick.
Sure. So I'm looking for tech companies. I'm looking for tech companies making between $2 million and $10 million per year. That are looking for marketing services. And my offer is
all I need is the who right now. I don't need what they're looking for, but no, I get that. So tech companies, and when you're looking for them, you're not going to actually connect with a company, right? You're looking for a founder, owner, co-owner, director of marketing. So what are some of the titles you're targeting within those tech companies?
I'm doing I'm putting in like CXO, for I'm using a sales navigator. So I'm using CXO, marketing director, owner, manager, CFO, CIO, CEOs, anything along those lines.
So those are good, as long as you have 4 or 5 pretty dialed in job titles within the tech companies, and that's what I was. And then from there, I mean, number one, guys, just this for everybody, including Rodney, but there's kind of a 4-step process whenever we're mapping out. I mean, I would say this is kind of encompassing, and number one, crafting our offer and knowing what we're offering people, but number two, kind of what we're going to say and how we're going to do outreach. And again, this can be applied in a little slight different manner, but this could be applied whether I'm doing an ads, email, LinkedIn, cold calling, DMing, SMS. That doesn't really matter. There's subtle variations, but everything we need to know right off the bat, and again, this is a little outside of today's lesson, but I certainly think it's relevant. Number one, we need to know the person and very clearly who we're targeting. Number two, what problem are we helping or what problem are we solving? Do we have that defined? And then I think the one that get people hung up with the most is we need to convey or portray the process that we're going to use to solve that problem. Not something just kind of generic like, hey, I tailor my solutions custom to you. That's all well and good, but people want to know that I have the client acquisition process in place, or the sales funnel process that converts, or whatever, right? And then lastly, we start talking about the product once we get through all three of those. And I think, again, sometimes we jump into talking about the product before we've done the other three P's. We've identified the person clearly. We've stated the problem that we're solving. We've stated the process that we use to actually execute and solve said problem. And then we start talking about the product, and it's a smooth transition. So you got to define all those. Then when you start an outreach campaign, like where you're at now, Rodney, there's three main metrics that I'm always looking for. Of course, we can go more in depth, but let's just keep it real high end. And what do I need to do to drive results? So now that I've identified those things and I started to write out some messaging, I need to know, number one, how many am I sending per day? And that should be slightly scaling up. Let's just say we're doing LinkedIn outreach and we started at 25 per day. Next day, I want to send out 30. 35, et cetera, and just always a slight increase. Number two, how many offers are we making daily? My personal KPI when I was doing outreach myself, when I was a setter, when I was a closer, when I was running and selling for myself in my own businesses, was always a minimum of 3 offers per day that I made. Then I upped that quota as I built out a sales team to 3 offers per rep, right? So you can grow and scale, and you could see the kind of the significant butterfly effect from that. So I always ask clients, it's funny. I'll ask a lot of you guys that are like, "Hey, Ray, I'm not quite where I'm at with money." And I'm like, "Well, how many offers did you make yesterday, Bob?" And you'll be like, "0." I mean, let's just think about that logically. If we're making 0 offers to our market, can we logically expect to make sales, any of us? I mean, let's just be real with ourselves. The answer is no. If we're not making offers daily, we can't expect revenue to come in. So number one is, how many messages am I sending out? A steady increase. How many offers does that messaging lead to? So ultimately conversations, and then only a certain percent we're going to actually make offers. And then lastly, once I am making offers, let's say I'm making 3 per day, what is my conversion rate of how many of those 3 are closing? If I can just work on increasing and making all 3 of those numbers more efficient in any basic outreach campaign, Rodney, that would be my main focus right now. So you started messaging, and of course, always optimizing and making it better, right? So the feedback is, let's say I'm sending out 30 DMs or messages per day to my target audience, and I'm getting totally ghosted, 0 replies. I know that my headline or my message, there's something wrong there. All I really want is somebody to raise their hand after the first message and say, "Yeah, Ray, that sounds cool," or "Yeah, Ray, that might benefit me," or just a simple answer where people actually say yes or raise their hand or give a reply. So we're always optimizing, but the main metrics with any outreach campaign is, how many am I sending? How many offers am I ultimately making per day with that outreach, with that messaging campaign? And then what am I converting those offers at? And if I can just optimize, refine, and increase those things every day, everything's going to work within these campaigns.
Okay. Thanks.
So kind of a lengthy answer, but that's your focus right now. Dialing in that messaging, dialing in who you're targeting, and then just getting some data underneath your belt so you can know how effective the messaging is, and if I need to alter it. And actually, Rodney, that leads right into today's lesson on how I think everybody can get a little better with their messaging, with how they portray the value, their product, is kind of what I'm going to cover today. But that should be a good little overview. Is that clear? Is there any questions on what I said there, Rodney?
I think that's very clear. I think that's very helpful. I just want a little focus, and I think it helps. So thanks a lot.
Great. And hopefully you can stick around, because I think based on your question, you'll pick up a lot from what I'm about to cover in the next 30 or so minutes. So let me just check the chat again. Did I have anyone else? So Jeremy, you typed something. How do we overcome the new 100 per week LinkedIn outreach limit? To be honest, I'm not doing a lot of outreach myself, but actually I meant to actually answer Rodney with this, and I would say the same to you, Jeremy. If you go look in our school community, particularly under some of the wins placed in the last couple of months, you're going to see Brandon Collins posting there a lot. Brandon does all of his outreach through LinkedIn and email only. He's running no paid ads, and he's crushing it, and he's scaling it, and he's using a few tools. So guys, he's told me if anyone has questions with LinkedIn, feel free to refer them over to him, but he'll be able to help you with that, Jeremy or Rodney. If you're having questions, go look at some of his posts, because he puts some really good kind of instructions on what he's doing to build out these campaigns, and how he's scaling them past the per week limit that you mentioned there, Jeremy. But he also said, if anybody's confused or wants some one-on-one help, feel free to DM him directly, Brandon Collins, in the school community, and he'll walk you through what tools and how he's doing it. So I don't want to answer that just because I'm not actively doing LinkedIn campaigns myself right now. It'd be stupid for me to answer, not to say I haven't done them or I don't know the basic, thing, but I'm not actively running any right now. Brandon's running them for his business, multiple clients, scaling them, going past the messaging thing. So hit him up, check out some of his posts. He gave you guys some really good tools in there as well. Andrew, you had a quick question before I dive into today's lesson?
Yes, thank you. My question is, so I've got a entrepreneur who has about a dozen companies, all with websites, wants to do a test with the pixels. Start out with 5 and maybe grow to all 12 or 14, however many companies he has. He's got some in-house people. I'm going to probably do the pixels at 2 grand a piece a month. So the first, group will be, like 10 grand, which would be nice. But here's my question. How do I, his in-house guy's got some dashboards. And if I want to send the data through an API, do I need an individual API for each pixel, or can I send multiple pixel data over the same API?
That's a great question. I don't know that, but I can get you that answer by the end of the day. So API, just say that to me one more time as I'm taking notes just on your API question.
Okay. In-house agency has a dashboard. Want to do a pixel for 5 websites with them. Want to send the pixel data over once a week through an API. Do I need one API for all 5 pixels, or do I need 5 APIs? And typically, what does it cost to set up and maintain an API?
Got you. I will go reach out. I got an hour after this, but before my next training session, so I'm going to get with the 2 guys on my team that know and work with this best. I'll reach out to them, get you an answer, and I will DM or email you back, or I'll just give you a ring from our CRM or whatever. But yeah, I can look into that.
J.R. Jackson in the chat just said webhook is best for what I've found. I'm like, I guess I should weigh between a webhook and an API depending upon how much data there is.
That's true too. And I can also ask the 2 team members that work in that department that I'm going to reach out to what they recommend there. If there's a different, I know there's a difference, which one they would recommend, and if one is better specifically when we're talking multiple pixels.
Okay, appreciate it. Do you
But
need my
yeah, let me
email?
just. No, I got y'all. I got all your
Oh,
contact information. You're an existing client. I can find it, no
yes.
problem. We're
Okay,
pretty good
great.
with data, believe it or not, as a data company.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Appreciate it.
I would imagine even if you weren't my client, I could probably find your information, but that takes a little digging. You'll be nice and simple since you are a client. And you also rocking a Red Sox hat?
I am. So are you.
Right on, right on.
Where
Wasn't
are
a
you
good
in
game yesterday.
Massachusetts?
I'm in Western Mass. Yeah,
Whereabouts?
Westfield.
Sure. I'm in Needham, right outside of Boston.
I just stayed in a hotel in Needham a couple weeks ago. I was out there for a Celtics game and doing a whole weekend out east. So I actually stayed at a hotel in Needham. Small
Oh,
world.
wow.
But
Yeah.
anyway, let's get back into the thing. So Andrew and I aren't bullshitting about Boston and Red Sox all day and boring you
Okay.
guys.
All
But
right.
yes, I'll have an
Thanks,
answer
Ray.
for you here shortly. So guys, what I wanted to cover is a pretty important lesson. Now, what I like to do on all of these workshops, and let me just go double check the waiting room. Okay, no one's sitting there. Well, what I always like to do on all these workshops, and a lot of you guys already know this if you've attended in the past, but we always have new clients and newcomers. So first thing first, this is the main seller resources for any of our DaaS agencies that are reselling the data to clients, using it in their ad campaigns, emails, selling lists, selling other pixels. So these are all the resellers resources that I put together. Everything from number 1 in here, how I recommend you build out your sales process. This will just show you step 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll see I recommend a 2-call sales process. So call number 1, your triage call. Here's a script or a framework already built out for you to go close data deals. Call number 2, your sales, your demo call. Again, here's a script or a framework already built out for you guys. Number 6, a copy of the authority pitch deck we've given you that I recommend you use on some of your sales calls. Again, just a visual aid that you can use to walk them through how we find their audience, how we loop into their ad campaigns, how we resolve the identity of bounce visitors, etc. Half dozen or a dozen different case studies provided in there. Number 7, a tutorial more specific to our identity resolution tool, our super pixels. So if we're going to be leading with or selling a lot of those, this is a really good tutorial to understand, number 1, how to really assess if it's going to be a home run, a good ROI for your client. Because as I always say, guys, if I'm pitching something to somebody that I run through the metrics or the assessment and I don't see a home run or a solid ROI, I'm probably not pitching that. But again, that's just me. You guys do whatever you want. That's just my theory. So number 1, we need to really assess if it's going to be a good fit or a home run before we get into phase two, which is how to become compensated and how to price this. And I walk through some of the best practices on both of those in that module. Number 8, again, some of you may know that's about 20 or so of my sales call recordings on this Google Doc. I know some of you guys have told me, listening to some of my recordings have helped you lock down some of the terminology and the verbiage you're using on calls. Or you take a little bit from my style and my approach and adapt it to what you guys are doing and to help you close more deals. So I just put that link here in the Zoom chat for anybody that hasn't seen that or lost that or whatever, or wants it again. That's the document I just went over with all those resources. Now, what I want to cover here in today's lesson is I want to go through, number one, I want to go through really what we should be focusing on when we're starting to sell and pitch. And what I mean by that, guys, is really, I don't mean like just pitch on a sales call only. I mean, this is kind of applicable to kind of every time that we're talking about our service, portraying our value. So this could be done in messaging. This could be done through VSLs. This could be done in webinars. This is certainly done on sales calls as well. But we should be selling the idea before the product. And what I mean by that, and I guarantee you some of you guys will relate to this, you guys get caught up in talking about and selling the product. And sometimes you're overcomplicating things. It's not clear because you get too in the weeds. Some of you guys don't even fully understand the technology or the product well enough to really feel like you're confident talking about it. So you're almost stumbling over your own words, or sometimes just, kind of shooting from the seat of your pants, as they say, off the cuff, and hoping what you say is resonating. But what we should always focus on is selling the idea before the product. Then the product pretty much sells itself. And guys, I don't just say this to teach this. I fully embrace this. I mean, I taught this lesson to my internal sales team in the past, but I really reiterated it with a session last week for my new sales team that I just put together, starting on March 16th. And I don't even embrace the 80-20 rule here, guys. I'm talking 90% 10. 90% sell and focus on the idea and only 10% product. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that for the extremes. What I do, and this is going to make a lot more sense as we go along, I'm going to give you live examples from Audience Lab uses, examples that my resellers use and how they do this. I'm going to give you some mainstream marketing examples that we've all seen in real time and how they've done this. But also, I think, number one, sell the idea, which is why this image is on my page, kind of portraying the idea, right? And I really want to embrace 90%, 10%, 90% idea, the new path that we're taking people down, the new solution. I always like to call it kind of the unexpected solution when we drop this to many people. And a lot of that kind of correlates to the next aspect that I don't think enough people really talk about and focus on. And man, I've been teaching in my training since back in 2019. I actually have old slides and pitch decks that I've used in my flagship presentation that I worked with clients for about a year that goes through this. But I think also really understanding the sophistication and or awareness level of prospects is super, super important. What I mean by that is a lot of us want to focus on kind of the bottom 3 of the 5 that you guys see on my screen here, which are people that are kind of already solution aware. And I'll go through these phases if anyone's not familiar, product aware or most aware. What I mean is we're talking about more bottom of funnel buyers that are likely ready to take action today. And that's great. We want to get those people, but we should all know that that is a vast minority of the marketplace. There are more people in the top 2 sections than the bottom 3. There's more people in the top 1 section than the bottom 3 combined. And number 2, almost every other competitor in whatever industry you're in. Yes, you're all DaaS agencies or offer that now, but a lot of you guys are also GHL agencies, Facebook agencies, copywriting agencies. All of you guys are kind of fighting for, and there's a lot of market saturation going for those people that are looking for solutions today. So when we have the ability to sell somebody on a new idea, we can tap into a problem or an unaware market. And let's run through the different stages of awareness or sophistication real quick so everybody's familiar. Unaware is very simply somebody that knows nothing about you, your brand, your product, your solution, or what the heck you do. Totally unaware. They could be totally market unaware, not aware of anything to do in your market, but they're definitely not aware of you, your company, and what you do. Now, problem aware are people that are starting to uncover a problem, right? I have a problem that my rising ad costs keep creeping up, which ultimately is driving up my cost per lead, my acquisition, and cutting into my profitability, right? And profitability is going down. They start to realize a problem over months of looking at data. That's a more DaaS relevant example, right? It could be a simple problem. I'm walking through the forest on my walk. It's humid. I'm smacking bugs off myself. I just became aware there's a problem. In my mind now, I'm starting to think of solutions. Then where do I want to go get that product, that bug spray, that repellent? And then most aware is when I'm at the store making the purchase, because I've already gone through that stage. So that's it, kind of condensed in a practical sense. But also, people that are problem aware, a lot of times when it comes to ad tech services that we offer, they're not aware of a lot of the solutions, or they're aware of maybe a mainstream solution. We can still come in with an unexpected solution. So I like to take customers from unaware or problem aware and then into the funnel more and start to talk about solutions, product aware. Also, the great thing about doing this is when you take somebody through that buying process and you made them aware of the problem, or you're the first one to make them aware of the solution. Then when you start getting into products and actually offers and pitching, you're probably going to be the first one that's ever got in front of them, right? You don't have a lot of competition at this time. They haven't done a lot of time to do searching. And when you take them right through this journey, if you do it right and really get them to buy into the new idea that we're going to dive into, everything kind of just flows and they kind of ask you about the product. You don't know how many times before I've ever got to the end of a sales call and actually brought up my offer or my price points. They're like, hey, Ray, how do I get access to this? Like, that's when you sold the idea before you've ever gotten the product. They're already asking you for the solution for the product and how to get access to it, right? So this is really, really important to think about. What I've always done and how we started our foundational company. Many of you guys that have been with us a while or been on a lot of my workshops have heard me reference the PDocs company and brand, but that was our foundational company before Audience Lab was ever launched, invented, even a thought or a concept in any of our heads. And PDocs stands for pains, desires, obstacles, common beliefs, and steroids, otherwise known as attention grabbers in the marketplace, is a foundational communication methodology where we were able to take customers from unaware to problem aware and then into our funnel and convert clients. In essence, it's our own client creation machine. When we can start and bring them in from the unaware market and bring them through our sales process, we are creating our own clients in essence. We're not going after a market where we're fighting over them and paying more for them. We are literally creating them from an unaware market. So that's what we have the ability to do. And I want to give you a couple examples of some mainstream companies first that have done this and executed this real well and sold the idea and then their product blew up, right? So let me start with, I got a couple good ones brought up, but this is a really good example. So Dollar Shave Club. Now, when they first hit the market in 2012, some of you guys may or may not know, there was no at-home razor service or company. And that wasn't even, although that's their big message and that's what they portrayed and have transitioned to over the years, that wasn't their first hook on, hey guys, you need to buy from us because you don't want to drive to the store to buy them and we ship them to your house. That wasn't their message, and there wasn't a big enough market if they did that. They weren't going to be able to create their own customers. But what they did do in some of their first advertising in 2012 and their big hook, and literally, they ran this ad and then had 10,000 subscription orders within 48 hours. All they did was say, right now, you guys are driving to the box store and buying a Gillette razor. Why do you think our razors at Dollar Shave Club are half the price and we deliver at home? Because Gillette just spent $10 million on their Super Bowl ad this year, and you guys paid for it by buying their high-priced razor in the store. Why not buy from somebody that just charges you for the razor rather than their Super Bowl ad? Boom. That was their idea. And then people felt ripped off. They felt left behind, right? They felt like, shit, I'm buying the wrong product. I'm buying and paying big money for advertising dollars. I don't want to pay for Gillette's Super Bowl program. I just want to pay for a razor, right? And that's what did it. And that was the new idea. And it literally, first weekend that ad launched, you guys can go back and look at the metrics, 10,000 subscription sales. You know, before that, they had 800 subscription sales in 3 months. And then they figured out their hook, boom. And then we all know where they're at right now. They're I don't know how much. I mean, multi-million. They may even be $1 billion valuation by now, but they are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, razor or shave companies out there. That company is in total 14 years old, and Gillette has been around at least longer than I've been alive. I'm willing to bet almost everybody on this call, and Gillette is losing market share still to this day to Dollar Shave Club because they've stayed on it. So that's a really good example. Another one that I remembered from a marketing mentor or book I read like a couple of years back. And then I saw this recently, maybe a few weeks ago, somebody else talk about this, but I remember the guy who first, I read the article of the guy that got hired by the Mars company to get their marketing slogan down. You guys may or may not know, but back when the war hit, M&Ms were created for soldiers in the trenches because they needed energy and chocolate, but it was melting in their hands and their pockets. So something with a candy shell. Then they came back, the war ended, and M&Ms almost almost shelved that candy line totally. They're like, now that the war's done, nobody needs a chocolate product that doesn't melt. And the marketing guy that they hired was trying to think of a slogan and just not coming up with anything that hit in terms of selling that new idea, right, guys? So he asked the CEO to just sit down and interview him, and he grilled him for like 6 hours. He got nothing out of him, nothing. And then all of a sudden, somebody out of the I forget, the marketing team, one of the team boardrooms just yelled, "Melts in your mouth, not in your hands." And he goes, "That's it." He goes, right when people hear that, they're going to think of a mother's going to think of the child that had chocolate in their pocket and it was all stuck to the middle and she had to wash it out, or the kid that had chocolate fingers and is wiping on the car seat in the back and they had to go pay for a detailing. So that's our new slogan, and that's what sold. And M&M has sold 78 million units since then, and that product was going to be shelved. The only thing that saved it was coming up with a good line, a quick slogan that sold a new idea, and that led to, again, 78 million plus units being sold and counting. I bet you some M&Ms have been sold today since I started this presentation even, you know what I mean? So those are a couple of great mainstream examples. Now, again, think about it. When we are coming up with that new idea, it always works best and resonates with our audience best when we make them feel like when they hear that or read that, that they've been ripped off, they've been left behind. I've just been doing it wrong. Hey, Ray, I've been paying a data provider that just gives me email. You guys give me name, email, phone number, credit score, zip code. Why have I been doing? I've been doing it wrong the whole time, right? Sold them on a bit of a new idea. Hey, man, it's not like data's wrong. You've been using the wrong thing because they're only giving you that. What if we could give you every data and contact point you could possibly fathom, Bob? Would that help you actually reach the person? Oh my God, that would be so much better than just getting email, right? So that's another example. I think another one that I just like to touch on is even what Steve Jobs did. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar. The first time Steve Jobs went on stage and tried to sell an iPhone, he spent approximately the first 6 minutes just making people aware that they had a problem that nobody knew they had before they sat down. Do you know what the problem does? Before the first iPhone or smartphone, every phone, and I'll hold mine up, but every phone before this, from about here down, approximately 40% of the phone was a keyboard. Whether you had a flip phone, a BlackBerry, a Slide, they all had a keyboard built in. Now, that keyboard became kind of a nuisance if you weren't texting, if you weren't needing it. People were bumping into it on the phone, right? It just, why is there an unnecessary keyboard there that is only really necessary if I'm texting, if I'm typing a search engine? Steve's like, well, this is the first phone where the keyboard is built in, so you only see the keyboard when you want it. Otherwise, it disappears, which gives you the whole screen for user access, and everybody's jaw dropped. They're like, oh, shit, that is a problem. I don't want a phone where 40% of my, the face of my phone is a keyboard. So he spent, and I didn't even make the correlation because I watched that when it first happened. I was relatively young, but I watched when he first did that, and I personally didn't buy into it. I was like, I don't care if my phone has a keyboard. I was like, doesn't bother me one bit. And I'm also usually not one of those trendy types that buys the first product that comes out. It's just never been my nature. But looking back at it, once I really got into marketing and understanding, I was like, that's why he spent the first 6 minutes. I was like, I bet you he did convince a lot of people. No, it didn't hit me, but it hit a lot of people. And we all know the iPhone is, I don't know, I think it's the most bought product since the year it was launched. I don't know if anything has sold more units or more total revenue than the iPhone line, to be honest. So that's another great example. So think about how clear is the idea that I'm getting across. Now let's go through some DaaS ones and some audience lab ones and even some pixel specific ones. And I got lots of good examples here for you guys. So I'm going to start with a couple DaaS ones that we use that might not be as applicable to our resellers, because keep in mind, we do market to agencies as well who are looking to kind of, buy into this and offer it as a service, where a lot of you guys are selling to individual brands. Although I think this one is pretty relevant to anybody. If you just look on my screen on the nice plate of food, same ad spend, better outcomes. Very simple idea being sold here. Did I talk about intent data? Did I talk about lists? Did I talk about a super graph with 300 million users and 1.9 trillion behaviors? No, because that's going to all become a little much. I'm selling the idea first. And if somebody sees this and they're like, same ad spend that I'm currently doing, but better outcomes, what's the hook, right? And they're going to click learn more, or they're going to read through the copy, or they're going to click the learn more button. So all I'm trying to do here is get across the idea, right? Another one, and this one is more geared to our agencies. Less work, more authority. How many agencies coming into this program, and still to this day, whether it's you, whether it's someone you know, whether it's you in the past, how many of you are like, I'm burnt out, I'm doing a lot of work, I'm staying busy, but I'm not super productive. I have very little authority. If somebody mentions my name in this space, no one knows who I am or what I do, right? So what we're showing you here is What if I could show you less work and more authority rather than what you're doing now? And you automatically make the correlation when you read this. Right now, I'm doing more work and I have low authority. I would love to do less work and get more, right? And that's the new idea. Boom. That's all we want to portray in the initial message. So that's a couple simple ways that we do it. Let me bring up a couple of pixel hooks that I wrote and used, and then I ran these through AI to get their feedback. But these are ones that have always worked really well for me, guys. Hold on, let me just go back and check the waiting room, make sure nobody's sitting in there waiting. Cool. I had it totally blocked out while I was screen sharing, so I had nothing in my way. But some good hooks I use for the pixel. Now, there's a revenue stream in your business right now that you aren't even being aware of. What if I could show you what that is, exactly how to access that, and then drive some additional revenue into your business today? Would that offer you value, Andrew? Right? That's all I want to portray in the beginning. Revenue stream in your business that you didn't even know exists. I can find it, I can bring it out, and I can drive sales back into your revenue. I mean, into your business, or revenue back into your business. Revenue or sales, right? Same difference there. And then you can even, I've seen a lot of my clients build performance-based partnership pixel agencies only, where they do this and then they split the new revenue 70-30. So let's say they're driving 10K in new sales in based off the traffic that's resolved and identified. We retarget those in some type of ad, email, a combination of the two, whatever, get them back in the funnel, driving an extra 10 G's in revenue. Then I split that 70-30 with the business owner. Every new pixel I've set up now makes me $3,000. I do that with 10 different customers. That's a pretty nice little chunk of change for installing a few pixels. That's one angle. Or, hey, your website has approximately 95 bounce visitors, Bob. What if I could show you how to get that traffic back and turn those bounce visitors into paying customers? So number one, show you who's visiting your site, and number two, turn them into paying customers. And then I'm going to show you some ways we can play with this in posts and ads, and even use a little humor and ingenuity within how we're kind of doing this messaging. Or simply number three, hey, what if I could show you how to drive some extra revenue into your business today, Bob, without changing your ad spend or an additional dime on ad spend? Because that's what you can do through the pixel. They're already spending money to get people to that website, whatever they're doing. We don't need to change it. We just want to do what they're already doing and recapture who we're missing and retarget them, right? So again, those are three pretty good hooks that worked well for me. I threw them into AI and they kind of gave me this feedback. Why your three hooks work so well right now, right? Hook number one, the hidden revenue stream. This is the ultimate owner-to-owner hook. It creates immediate FOMO. And in 2026, every CEO is obsessed with finding efficient ratios, lost money, revenue streams that don't currently exist or I didn't know of, right? So boom, that's a really good one. Hook two, the 95% leak, saying that, hey, man, you get a lot of traffic to your website, but only 5%, in many cases, less opt in. I'm even rounding up a little bit on this to the average market that I see. But yeah, so this is what's known as a diagnostic hook. It's hard to ignore a 95% failure rate, which is almost standard with website traffic conversions. It turns your pixel into the cure for a leaky bucket, right? Or zero more ad spend. This is the efficiency hook with cost per lead, cost per everything, right? Cost per lead, cost per acquisition. I could put in all kinds of things on the third letter there. Continuing to climb on Meta and Google in 2026, the idea of increasing ROI, top of funnel without additional ad spend is another holy grail for a marketing officer of any company, whether that's a media buyer, whether it's head of marketing, right? We could talk about numerous different departments depending on the type of clients we're meeting with and kind of how sophisticated they are. But those are all really good little hooks and angles that I'm using to sell an idea before I ever really talk about the technology, the back end, what's happening there, right? And then I brought up a few newer ones. So we just launched a brand new pixel department recently at Audience Lab that we didn't have before. And we just literally launched some new still image ads along with some video ads. So a couple that we just launched, literally, I think they went live today. Here's a couple images from like brand new ad campaigns that we put money behind. So again, having a little fun with it with a popular meme or GIF that people see online, having a company website. Being able to see your website visitors, their name, email, phone number, income, occupation, credit score, right? You're a bit more sophisticated if you're Winnie the Pooh number two there, right? Or it could be something simple like this. Hey, when you know who's on your site, the follow-up writes itself. Meaning when you actually know who's visiting your website, it's very easy to get in front of them. I would actually like to make that one a little more comprehensive, but it is selling a new idea in a quick sentence, which is the main idea here. Or there's sometimes we use a little bit of humor or relevant stuff. So This one kind of ages me, and anybody that's my age or older is going to kind of get this reference. But from an old sitcom with the theme song, "Come and Knock on Our Door," boom, boom, and anybody that knows this is already singing in their head. And then it's like, "Hey, we just got your name, email, address, and phone number." LOL. And people see this like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, if somebody visits your website, knocks on your door, Bob, I can give you their name, email, address, and phone number, right? So again, one of my favorite movies as a child and still today that I watch with my kids and stuff. The Sandlot. So, hey, man, you got bounce visitors on your website. We're your cleanup crew. This is more to knowing your audience, your age demographic, interests, likes, affinities. I know if I'm targeting a male audience in their 30s of above that likes sports whatsoever, they've probably seen this movie. That demographic probably even goes larger than that, but that's a pretty good one. This one probably applies to almost anybody that has a website, and this is about as basic as you can get. So, hey, all those stars out there in the sky are lost website visitors who bounced off your site. We can help you recover them with raw email. Ask us how. And again, I would even go a little more in depth, but that's very, very basic. So that's the gist of what I wanted to kind of cover and go over on today's lesson. Selling the idea before the product, all the different ways that we do that, and all kinds of different campaigns. I think we do it a little better and a little more I would say elaborate within our video ads, because videos, I think we can portray a better message and get more across, but it's hard for me to sit here and share a lot of video content. The still images are just much easier to kind of go over really quickly. But the strategy and the thought process that I'm doing here doesn't change. I just think with a video, you can get a video ads, in my mind, is the time where you can get the most and the best info in front of your prospect in the shortest time period. And we always run a healthy balance. You're going to see anytime you run across our ads, you're going to see a healthy balance of still image ads, like I just ran through, along with video ads and video content. And again, we like to see what's working in both, and we're always kind of altering and tweaking both. But let me ask you guys, did you guys get some value out of that? Any questions on that, or anything, any takeaways that are really helpful that you kind of had an aha moment today? Like, oh yeah, I'm here talking about the product and the back end of where we source the data rather than selling the new idea or the benefit to the client. If anybody has any comments, statements, feedback, just go type a 1 in the chat and I'll call on you real quick. Andrew, that was great. Thank you. You're quite welcome. I'm glad you got some value out of it. Jeremy, please feel free to unmute and share with us whatever your thoughts are. Questions?
Yep, sure. Yep, I found a lot of that very, very useful. I feel like sometimes part of the problem that I have is because I'm offering this as a new service to a new client base, is like, what's the best target for the offer? Like, currently I'm targeting SaaS companies that are, the growth oriented. But I'm wondering if there's like an easier market to target, or if there's like a market that has seen more success than other markets, because I feel like I might be pigeonholing myself a little bit.
Sure. So I think easier is a subjective term there. And I, generally speaking, whatever I'm doing, and I don't know if you feel the same about this, Jeremy, but I don't really want it to be easy. I want it to be a little difficult, because it's easy, everybody would do it. I want to be able to stand out, and I want to be able to excel in a market that might be saturated or difficult. I think easy is very subjective. Now, what I would say is it's strongly contingent upon your offer. Now, are you leading primarily with the pixels, with the intent data? Do you have that figured out yet, Jeremy?
Yeah,
That's
so
going to
I'm
play
leading.
into how I answer this.
Yep, I'm leading to the pixels, basically like offering like, hey, there's like a possibility of a 20 to 40% recovery of the people that are visiting your website, with no extra ad spend to you, and then offering a like 30-day free trial just because I'm new. I'm just trying to get people active, just getting it on people's sites and testing it out. I've tested on a couple people's sites so far, so I've seen like a little bit of traction, but it's just not a lot of response to the offer.
Interesting. Interesting. So number one, I actually think you're going at it a little low in terms of what you're projecting. I would feel comfortable saying 40% and up is what will resolve. That's what we're seeing with the Pixel version 4 pretty much across every website. Now, if we put it on a small website with a couple hundred hits, that might deviate. I'm talking about real people with real traffic getting 5,000 plus hits per month minimum is what I would be looking for my ideal Pixel deals, especially in the SaaS industry where they're selling software as a service, likely low to mid ticket monthly subscriptions. A lot of them aren't selling 5K back end deals where only a couple deals makes a difference. You got to drive multiple clients and multiple buyers in. So I would be making sure, number one, if if my main objective is to target SaaS companies, as you said, Jeremy, with the pixel as kind of my front end thing, I want to make sure I'm filtering through plus a SaaS companies at a certain revenue threshold, which likely equates to a certain web traffic threshold. So I don't want to be meeting with SaaS companies with under 5,000. In many cases, I might even up that to a 10,000 type of minimum traffic, depending on average order value of their product. So number one, are we meeting with the right people and SaaS companies that are already getting that much traffic? Are they established? Are we just meeting with some kind of startups that drive very minimal traffic to their website?
Yeah, I feel like my problem is actually getting the meetings. Like I feel like once obviously getting the best possible client is the goal, but I'm okay practicing on not good clients too. Like, you know what I mean? Just to get
Yeah,
my own, like get the repetitions of me running the conversation down. I'm okay with that at this stage, but I'm having trouble getting a response. So I'm doing running that
let's
same
reverse
offer.
and go
Say that
ahead.
one more
Sorry, go
time.
ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish. My bad.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, so I'm sending out about 450 emails a day from Instantly, doing cold outreach on LinkedIn from Sales Navigator Target. That's limited like about 100 people per day. I'm going to talk to that guy you told me to talk to as well. And I'm running ads with a similar offer. I just feel like that target, it's like $90 a day right now, but it feels like that target audience might be kind of expensive, and I'm not quite sure their activity or willingness to go with a relatively unknown brand on like if I were them, I'd probably look, oh, that's interesting. Let me look at this Instagram page. So it might be some more social proof that needs to happen there. But I'm just kind of curious as to your take on that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you got to kind of reverse engineer. So now I have a little bit of understanding. Obviously, if the problem is like actually getting meetings and getting people to show up that are interested, I'm not going to focus again too much more on the quality of people. Like you said, right now it's more about getting reps, repetitions, and actually getting in front of people. So I would say kind of similar, like I said to Rodney earlier. It sounds like you have pretty decent ad spend and you're starting to ramp that up slowly. A little early to, a little light to really get a ton of data, but it should start getting some results as long as the creative is solid. I would love you to privately send me the creative that is in your ad campaign so I can give you a little feedback on that,
Okay.
because that also plays into things, right? If I look at the creative and I personally think it wouldn't convert, I'm going to tell you why, and that could be part of the problem, right?
Right.
Um,
Okay, cool. That sounds
I
great.
don't really know without seeing it. But with the LinkedIn and the email or the other parts, again, it's about dialing in your message. And something I talked about today, and one I've seen work really good for. Now, this one's better for the intent data. So hold on 1 minute. But something that's great for the pixel. Again, one of those three hooks I ran
Thank you.
through on today's thing, Jeremy, I would try three different variations of messaging to send out to these SaaS owners. One, hey, what if I could show you a new stream of revenue within the business that you didn't even know existed and you're overlooking? And we could partner on some type of performance compensation where I don't get paid until I show you how to get it, right? That's a really good one. So
Yep.
some variation of that. Number two, what if I could show you how to, and I think you might have already mentioned this one, but how to bring in more revenue without more ad spend, just be creative about how you word it. And then the last one, you're driving a lot of traffic to your website, and that's how you make most of your sales, but 95% of your traffic bounces. Let me show you who they are and get them back in your funnel for some quick wins and inject some quick revenue into the business. So I would take those three hooks and do a combination of outreach messages and just kind of say that message. And if I could show you that, would you be interested? And just get them to raise their hand and say yes. That's all you really want out of that initial message.
Cool. All right, that sounds good. I'll shoot you over some of my ad copy and creative and see what you think.
Right. Yeah. I'm happy to run through and give you some feedback on that.
All right.
100%. Christopher, you had a question there. Feel free to unmute. Go ahead.
Yeah, Raymond. What are your thoughts on cold email outreach campaigns?
Pretty broad, vague question. What are my thoughts with it? My thoughts
Well,
are I'm current. Go ahead.
my thought is this would be for myself. I heard one person say I should be sending out maybe 1,000 emails a day, and I'm thinking that's a hell of a lot of domain. And I didn't want to set up. I don't want to, obviously send out too many email. And you can only have so many email accounts per domain. And
Yeah.
I didn't know what kind of balance you're thinking might, well, do this, have 10 domains and no more than 5 emails on each domain and send out 10 emails per day from each email would be, it's not 1,000, but it's certainly better than.
Again, if we're starting up from scratch and you're warming up domains or have domains warmed up, I would start with an average of 100 per day per domain and slowly increase them by about 3 to 5% per day. That's usually a pretty safe parameter. Now, we have a couple of cold email experts on the team, Lewis and Melissa, who run some of our workshops and incubator workshops.
Okay.
They're working on and they're teaching and showing you guys some different softwares, how you can run multiple per day. I know, again, I've been running them for so long, and my domain just has so much already kind of credibility and traffic run through it that I can send out up to 10,000 per day through my email autoresponder tied back to my domain. But every time I started or launched a new offer off a new domain or multiple domains, I always started with 100 per day with a slight 3 to 5% ramp up per day.
How many email accounts per domain?
I don't remember how many I was using. Again, I think you're really better off if are you familiar with Lewis Naylor on the team?
Yeah. I'll hook up with him.
Yeah, hook up with him because he's running a lot more email campaigns and working with Melissa on the back end. And it's currently not my department or my focus right now.
Okay.
So I think Lewis is just better suited to give you a more in-depth answer there, my man.
And I will do that. If you're familiar with iMessaging, goes back to the old Chatmatic days when,
Yeah.
Do we have the same requirements or restrictions on iMessaging versus SMS? Is it different?
They're likely different. They're likely different. I don't remember. I haven't done iMessaging in a long time. I'm familiar with it, but it's not a tool I've used or done in a little while. But to be compliant with SMS outreach, at least in 48 states, I think Texas and California have different SMS restrictions. I always tell people to check their state because I'm no lawyer by any means. But generally speaking, through SMS outreach, through the first party data, as long as we are sending an SMS and including our name, our business name, and a clear opt out, we should be compliant to reach out to that data via SMS.
Okay, well, I was thinking about iMessage. So just do the same thing as iMessage.
Again, I just haven't used iMessage in so long. Okay. I don't know what their parameters or restrictions are. I would think they're the same, but you certainly want to check with somebody that's using it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking it's just a lot easier. All you need is for them to say, yeah, I'll talk to you. You send them out a message. Hey, Ray, can I talk to you? You're in the mortgage business and I do leads. Can we talk? Yeah, let's talk. Or no, leave me alone, one or the other. And if it's let's talk, then I now have their permission to continue the conversation until they say no more. I believe.
Yeah, you're right. That sounds 100% logical to me.
And I can send videos, and I can send what else can I send? I think it's videos and such, along with it, where you really can't send that with SMS. From what I'm told, I don't know.
No, you got to be very careful with SMS, especially with cold outreach where they haven't opted in or already given permission or already replied. Once they've engaged, replied, or basically given permission, it's a whole different story as to what you can send. But I stay away from any videos and any links in SMS until I've actually had rapport and some back and forth with the prospect.
Yeah, and I'll do a little more research on this iMessage thing too, because maybe it's just an old technology that really has a place, after all. Maybe.
To me, it's old technology because I haven't used it in quite a while. That's why I don't really want to speak too much on its behalf. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Does what's your name? The girl you mentioned. Does she have a class on this, or is she doing?
Yeah, Melissa's the one. I think it's every other week. Let me check. But she runs the one that's titled our incubator workshop. I want to say it's every other Thursday. Melissa Lewis. But she's also working with us on some cold email stuff, and we're bringing her in on some of those projects. And she is much more versed in what's working right now than I am because I don't run those departments.
Okay, yeah, I'll check in with her.
And I know Lewis is working closely with her, so whichever one of the two you can get a hold of first can probably take you in the right direction there.
Sounds appreciate it, Ray.
Awesome. You're quite welcome. JR, I don't know if you saw my response down in the chat, but the two guys on the team, to be honest, again, I don't work in the back end of the platform like I used to 2 years ago, guys. 2 years ago, my role in the company and how much we've grown, I was in the back end building audiences, testing and installing pixels. Guys, I mean, I'm very honest. I probably log into my platform about once a month now. I have about 18 more team members than I had 2 years ago, and it's just not where my time is best spent. Sucks that I can't answer some of these questions, but in terms of installing pixels and getting the fields, it's way different than it was 2 years ago. So as I put in the chat there, JR, Andrew and Ro, if you message either one of them, Rohit on my team or Andrew Ruffino, they can both give you a quick little Loom video or hop on a call and tell you how to set up the fields and get everything else you want out of the pixel data there. 100%. I can look into that, Andrew. Certainly. I just saw your question there about the times and the conflict. Yeah, let me look into that. 100%. I didn't know. And again, they might have switched the time on one of them. The incubator used to be at a different time than the data strategy workshops, but that certainly could have changed. So I'll put that in my notes. I'll look into that and see if we can get that rescheduled or restructured a bit. Okay, awesome, guys. Well, I mean, with 10 minutes left, I'm not going to dive into like a whole nother lesson and a whole nother topic. I think we covered a lot of good stuff here today. I will have this replay for anybody that wants to watch it or share it with a team member or come back to it. I'll have this replay uploaded into the school community before the end of the day, as I do every week when I run one of these workshops. And we will see you guys here back in 2 weeks. Again, I run these every other week, so I believe at that point we'll be into the first Tuesday of May. So we'll see you then. I'll have another powerful lesson, and send me over anything in the meantime, like I had talked about with you, Jeremy, your creative, or if anybody has anything that I can help them break down their messaging or their offer, and it's in between workshops, feel free to either DM me or send me an email, and I'm happy to go through your stuff and give you a reply. I'm not going to, make you wait a couple weeks till another workshop. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And Andrew, I'm going to get back to you likely within the hour with your question at the start of the workshop. Great. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your